In my own personal routine, I found that having a 5 to 10 mobility routine that I do every day, regardless of whether I'm in the gym or at home, is a perfect way for me to trigger myself to get some movement in. So come along with me for my 5 to 10 minute mobility routine. We're gonna start down flat on our backs, hugging our knees up to our chest. What I look for in my routine is to get myself grounded here at first, bringing my focus to my breathing. Big deep inhales, big deep exhales. Whether you're exhaling out of your mouth or out of your nose, it's up to you, whatever's more comfortable for you. But I like to get myself grounded at the beginning of my mobility routine, and then incorporate some movement for the lower body, some movement for the upper body, so that I'm getting myself ready for the day, whether that's just getting up and getting active with my kids, or getting to work, or going out for a run, or getting on a bike for a ride. But this mobility routine is where I trigger myself to get ready for movement or just ready for the day. So I hug my knees up to my chest. I like to take 5 breaths here. I bring everything that I do in this mobility routine to either 5 or 10 reps, or 5 breaths if that's easier for you. So that was about my 5th breath right there. I'm gonna release the hold in my legs, let my feet come down, and I'm gonna loosen up my hamstrings before I strengthen my hamstrings. So I'm gonna extend my right leg out straight. I'm gonna swing that right leg up towards the sky, going nice and easy at first. It's a range of motion movement where I just listen to my body. If it's stopping me about 85, 90%, that's okay. But look to increase that range of motion as I go. And again, 5 or 10 reps on my right side, then 5 or 10 reps on my left side. Everything I do on one side, I do on the other. And I don't need to compare the two sides, but sometimes I like to, just to see if one side's feeling tighter than the other. It's something that I take inventory on. I don't need to make any changes to it in this one movement or in this one day, but I take inventory on it so that maybe later in my post-movement routine that I have, I focus more on my instability on that side that is a little bit more tight. So I loosened up those hamstrings first. Now I want to strengthen the hamstrings a little bit. So I come through a double leg bridge for only about, again, 5 or 10 reps. But through this movement, this first strength movement of the day, allow yourself to kind of come through it as slowly as you want to, as slow as your body needs to. I like to hold the first couple of reps and see if I could increase the range of motion through this strength work as well by getting my hips to break the plane that is created between this line from my shoulders through my knees. If I can get those hips up to break that plane, I'm not only going to strengthen the hamstrings, which is what I'm targeting, the strength of the hamstrings and the glutes, but I'm also going to almost open up these hips a little bit by getting them into a position that they're not used to, whether I'm sitting on the couch or sitting at the desk or sitting in the car. 5 or 10 reps. I like to start slow and then come through a little bit quicker through the last couple. And that does it for our flat back part of this warm up. Now I flip over to my hands and my knees. I like to incorporate a little bit of yoga into my mobility routine that I do every day, because I find a couple of positions throughout the yoga practice that I do that really speak to me. And that is, the first two are the child's pose and the upward facing dog. One of the many definitions of yoga is bending one way, then bending the other. And these two positions showcase that perfectly. When I'm in the child's pose, the front side of my body is kind of closed off. I'm able to feel that contraction in the hips. Inhale, exhale, come back forward to that upward facing dog, where the front side of the body is open. From my hips right through my shoulders, my heart is open. I want to come through these two positions back and forth, again, 5 or 10 reps. Because each time I come through it, it becomes a little bit easier for me to do it. It's almost a similar movement of the frog stretch that you're able to do, where it's all focused on the hips. But that lower back, for me, gets a little bit of attention here as well. After that 5th rep, I come through a neutral tabletop position. From here, I want to bring some attention to the upper body for the first time. So my hands are right under my shoulders, my knees are right under my hips. This is that neutral tabletop position. From here, the attention to the shoulders is going to come by way of shifting my body weight into my left hand as I open my right arm up and open towards the sky. I hold it here for a full breath, and then I want to come through 5 or 10 reps of sweeping under, giving myself a pat on the back, and then opening up towards the sky. So I come back more to that range of motion focus like I did on the hamstring swings for my legs. I'm doing on this shoulder opener for the arms, but not just for the arms, but for the pecs, the back as well. I like to follow my thumb with my eyes as I come up to the top so that I'm able to really bring some attention to that upper back as well. Notice I switch sides. Again, it was that 5 or 10 reps on that right side, then that same 5 or 10 reps on this left side. Following the thumb with my eyes as I come up, closing the body off. I'm really feeling those hips start to get some attention, and that is by design because our next movement is meant to open up the hips, but also, again, strengthen those glutes and hamstrings. From this neutral tabletop position, I want to come through where I shift my body weight into my left side slightly so I can bring my right knee off of the ground. I like to crunch my right knee up towards that same side right elbow, and then keeping my leg bent, curl around so that I'm really paling this right hip open. Come right back down, but instead of bringing the knee to the same side elbow, I bring the knee between the forearms if I can, before curling it right back around. And then now bringing that knee under and across towards my opposite forearm, and each time I come back up and open at the top. Come back through each 3 of those one more time. Knee to same side elbow, curl it open, knee between the forearms, curl it open, knee under and across, curl it open. 3 times for each one of those positions. So that was 6 reps on that side. Same thing on this other side. Left knee comes to that same side left elbow, curl around. Notice the bend in my knee barely changes at all as I bring it between my forearms, then as I bring it under and across towards the opposite elbow. But especially as I open it up towards the highest point of this movement, the knee stays bent, just about 90 degrees, opening up that hip. That's 6 times on this side. Bring the hands in the knees back onto the ground. Find that neutral tabletop. And like I said, I like to incorporate the yoga positions that speak to me. You pick some positions that speak to you to create the mobility routine that will work for your schedule, for your routine. Right now, I'm gonna come through some cat-cows. Inhale as I drop the pelvis and look forward. Exhale as I round the back and look down between my legs. Inhale as I drop that pelvis. Exhale as I round the back. Inhale. Exhale. You move according to your own breath, the pace that your body is telling you to go through. And again, 5 reps, 10 reps, anywhere between. I don't like to limit myself because if I'm feeling good in one of these positions more than the other, I like to stay there for a little bit longer. Allow yourself that leeway. You don't need to be too strict to this mobility routine. It's just about doing something that's gonna wake you up. That's good on those cat-cows. Let's sink back to that child's pose once again. We've already been here a few times, so we know what it feels like, but let's stay here for a full breath before we come through my favorite version of the sun salutation, which I like to close out my morning routine, my mobility routine with. Last time in this child's pose, inhale, exhale, flow forward to that baby upward facing dog. And then from here, we push back to that downward facing dog for the first time. In that downward facing dog, we make that inverted V with the body, where my hips are the highest point of my body. I shift my body weight back towards my heels to take the pressure off my shoulders, and I let my head just hang down towards the ground. So much so that if I were to look over my right, I would be looking under my right tricep. If I were to look over to my left, I would be looking under my left tricep. We find stillness the first couple of breaths in this downward facing dog. Then I like to walk the dog in place a little bit to see how the calf and Achilles is feeling on each side. If one side's feeling tighter than the other, then I stay there for a little bit longer before pulsing that walk in place and turning that walk in place into a travel of the feet up towards the hands. Landing into a folded forward position for the first time, release all tension out of the head, neck, and shoulders. Let the arms just hang for some stillness at first, and then almost start to paint a picture of your feet, around your feet on that yoga mat. before finding that stillness once again. Inhale, come halfway up, hands onto the shins or the knees so that your back is flat. Chin can be tucked like you're holding a baseball between your chin and your chest. From this flat back, we fold forward, a generous bend in the knees before rising to standing and coming into a baby back bend here at the top. Palms facing forward, heart is open, hips are forward. Inhale, exhale, root to reach. Sweep the feet, land into that flat back, hands on the shins. From here, we step back to a high plank, and this is the last position that we come through this specific sun salutation that we are doing. So from this high plank, we move through that slow moving chaturanga, high to low, upward facing dog, to downward facing dog, and we land there. Now we start to come through it a little bit faster. Inhale in that downward facing dog. Exhale, take about 4 steps to walk those feet up to the hands. Inhale, come halfway up, hands onto the shins. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up again. Field goal the arms, that baby back bend. Heart is open. Exhale, root to reach. Sweep the feet. Come back to that flat back, hands on the shins. Step back to that high plank. High to low plank. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Bend the knees generously and then walk, step, or even float the feet up to the hands. Inhale, come halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, baby back bend. Root to reach, sweep the feet, flat back. Step or jump back to that high plank, high to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Bend those knees, travel those feet up, flat back, fold forward, all the way up to that baby back bend. Root to reach, sweep those feet, flat back, step or float those feet back, high plank. Last time through it to close out this warm-up mobility routine. High to low, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Bend those knees, feet to the hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, open, root to reach. Sweep the feet, flat back, high plank. Come down to the mat, sink back to that child's pose. And like I said, now I'm either ready for movement or I'm ready for my day. If that's all I do as a standalone workout, that's fine. But if that's my warm-up for more effective cardio or strength routine, better yet. Reach out if you need help designing your own routine that's gonna work for you.